Hey everybody, Kaoiji. You're probably wondering how you're going to get all of your units and weapons to plus 40 and how much that's going to wind up costing you. Luckily enough, the math has already been done and we're going to go over that in this video. First of all, let's go over the meseta efficient method that currently is going around the game. Just a reminder that if you're watching this video in the future, then this is for 4-star weapons. If you're trying to get your 4-star weapon to plus 40, then you are going to need a ton of Silver Primm Swords. The reason why I would advise against using Gold Primm Swords is because of this that I went over in a previous video. So I'm going to be leaving a link down in the description below, and you can also click it here in the top right. But moving on, for the Silver Primm Sword specifically, you are going to need at least 12 of them at plus 20, and then one of them at plus 6. Pretty much this is currently the most cost efficient way when it comes to meseta, because it'll only cost you 174,000 meseta to be able to take a weapon from plus 0 to plus 40. Pretty much this is, in my opinion, one of the most cost efficient ways when it comes to meseta without using 4-star weapons. Because if you wanted to be able to use 4-star weapons, then that actually brings the cost that much lower. However, to be able to make the plus 20 Silver Primm Swords and the plus 6 Primm Sword, you're going to be needing 74 end grinders in total. In my opinion, I prefer this method because meseta is a much more precious resource compared to end grinders, considering you can farm a lot more end grinders than you can meseta. I mean, that's a debatable sentence in and of itself, but hey, you get what I mean. Alternatively, if meseta is not anything you need to worry about, then you can actually use 59 Silver Primm Swords, and then spend 236,000 meseta, in which case that's only going to cost you 59 end grinders. Again, meseta is much more of a precious resource to me, so I would prefer to be able to spend end grinders over meseta. All right, so weapons are pretty straightforward, right? Pretty much for weapons, you use Silver Primm Swords, and it doesn't matter how which way you do it, you either spend more meseta or less, or you can use 4-star weapons. All right, now let's get over to units. The reason why I advise people to go with the cost-efficient method when it comes to using Silver Primm Swords is because units are infinitely much more expensive. So just to give you an idea before we move anywhere further, you're going to need 218 grinders and 488,000 meseta per unit. And so the reason for that is because you're going to need 14 plus 20 Sevia armors and 1 plus 8 Sevia armor to be able to max out one single unit. Pretty much what you wind up using is you wind up taking Sevia armors, going from 0 to 10 using 5 and feeding it to 1. The reason for that is for same armor bonus. Another 5 for 10 to 15, then another 5 for 15 to 20. So each Sevia armor by themselves is going to cost you 30k per unit and 15 grinders. And then you're going to need another Sevia armor at plus 8, which is going to cost you 4 grinders and then another 8k. Now, after you get all 14 Sevia armors and the 1 plus 8 Sevia armor, you'll be able to go from 0 to 40 on one unit. Each step when you go to do that enhancement process is going to cost you 20k per step. So it's then going to cost you 60k by the end of it. All in all, in total, because of the amount of Sevia armors you're going to wind up needing, that's what makes it equal out to 488k. The only other way to be able to reduce this cost is by using 4-star units themselves, but again, you might not want to use 4-star units if you plan on using them, or you might want to sell them in the player shops, assuming you have premium, that is. So in total, you're going to wind up needing almost 1.5 million meseta and over 600 end grinders. So your units alone are going to be costing you the bulk of your meseta. So yeah, you definitely don't want to spend the meseta when it comes to the weapon process. You would rather save that and then use that when it comes to enhancing and upgrading your units. Just to reiterate, this is not the easiest method because, like I said, you can wind up augmenting this with 4-star units themselves because it'll actually bring down the cost and give you that much more experience. So you can actually bring down the cost to about 1 million meseta for all 3 units if you use almost exclusively 4 stars, period. But either way, it's going to be an expensive process upgrading your units to plus 40. And it's only going to get more expensive as we start getting into the later rarities, assuming that we don't get any other items to be able to match. So we'll see how that goes. And every time that there's an increased rarity, we'll figure out the best possible way to be able to upgrade the units and make them as cost efficient as possible. But yeah, I figured this video would help some of you guys out there. So if it did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And then yeah, stay awesome, stay beautiful. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace. I'm out.